How do you balance these three worlds of having a family, being a high-level professional in an elite sports league, being a referee there, and then running this business and having the passion to do them all well? Like, it's a real question. That's not just some throwaway cliche thing.
I think the root answer is that I don't understand the word balance. And when you're doing something that you're passionate about, and I have a convergence of two things that I'm passionate about, being an NFL football official and being the CEO and leader of this company, it's not work. You know,
What do you say to the people who, the 80 or 90% of the people, and some of them that we love and know well, that, boy, they'd say their thing feels like work?
Sure. And we've all been there, right? I referred back to Dragging a Bag, right? And it wasn't passionate for me. I wasn't passionate about that in the later years. It was more of something I had to do to put food on the table and keep a roof over our head. So you had to do it, but it wasn't passion. Passion is, for me, is building something out of nothing here, and getting and solving a problem for our rescue and shelter partners so they can do the work that they're doing. Mark, these people that get into rescue, they get into it because they're passionate about animals and they want to go save animals. But a lot of them, some of them do, and they're amazing to me, but a lot of them don't treat it as a business. They treat it as a passion. And just because you have a 501c3 tax or nonprofit tax exempt status doesn't mean you shouldn't treat it as a business. And when I came into this space, I have always treated it as a business, as a merging of private sector and public sector. And I'm a capitalist, and I've approached it that way. And at first, I think I kind of got a stink eye or two from people in the space. They maybe didn't really like me. But what I always said was, look, higher tides lift all boats. The better that I do as a marketer, the better I do as a donor acquisition platform for you, the less you have to worry about fundraising and the more you can focus on saving more animals. If I can provide you food at no cost, then you can take those dollars now and reappropriate them to other things that are important, like vet bills. Yeah, you can take on that gnarly case now that you couldn't afford, but now that you don't have to spend $15,000 a year on food, maybe you can save 3 more animals.
So I'm connecting this when I said, what do your 50 plus or minus people think about you? And they're like, I could be intense. I'm thinking about so many of these influencers, and like a guy like David Goggins, right? The crazy runner and knees blown out, and the Navy SEAL. He's intense. I just see so many people in athletics that you're around the field on. They're pretty intense. I'm sure a lot of coaches are intense. It just seems like elite people are intense. Do you see that consistently or no?
100%. 100%. I had the fortunate opportunity to work in the league. I'm still in the league, and to watch Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. I'm fortunate today to watch Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes. So when I got in, Drew Brees, Ben Roethlisberger, Peyton Manning, I kind of came after the Joe Montana era, so I've had really basically, 2 generations of amazing quarterbacks that are in this league, Jalen Hurts, and all of them, if you look at what they're doing, they put their all into it. I mean, everybody's read about Tom Brady and how, dedicated and passionate. Well, there's a reason why he won 6 or 7 Super Bowls and played in 2 or 3 more. He didn't get there by accident.
Yeah, he was 7th, right? When he went to Michigan, wasn't he like the 7th guy on the roster down the depth chart?
Yeah.
It's wild. I think we must not believe that. We're like, oh, no, not really. Or, come on, guys. Now that was just some temporary stuff. He was going to rise, and, regardless if Drew Henson got hurt or not, or Drew Bledsoe got hurt, the guy was going to find an opportunity. He was going to play well. But I look at him and I'm like, that guy's not fast.
No. You watch his combine run in the 40 or something like that. Yeah. We've all seen that video. He's, but that's not his secret sauce. He's going to outwork you.
Yeah.
I'm going to outwork you. That's
does that apply in almost everything you've seen in life?
I don't know. I think I've seen people, and you may have too, that have the Midas touch. It's in their DNA, and whatever they touch just seems to work out. I don't know if they're just inherently smarter. I am more of, in my DNA, I have to outwork you. I have to work extra hard. For whatever reason in my journey, and I tell this to my son, it's just in our DNA. We have to work harder than the next guy.
But that works, doesn't it? Even if you don't have the Midas touch, that application works for almost everyone.
I do think that, my dad always just said that luck is where preparation meets opportunity, right? And that was his saying. And so, I have had wonderful opportunities, and when they've come about, I was ready. I was ready. Whatever it was, I was ready. I used to dream when I would go to the Raiders played in Los Angeles, and we had season tickets. And it was just when I started officiating, I would visualize as those guys walked out of the tunnel into the LA Coliseum, I visualized that was going to be me one day. And I would manifest, and I'm not a huge manifest guy, so I'm not like the guy to speak on this, but I do believe in it. I would visualize myself being one of them one day. And so I do believe in that if you have that marker, that North Star, then you need to work at it.
Yeah. It goes hand in hand with goals, isn't it? What your why and your goals, because you seeing yourself out there one day, then you say, it's a goal of mine. And if you think about it and you focus, that's the manifestation, and you practice and you prepare. So when the opportunity comes up, I'm sure if we were sitting here talking about, if it was a sports podcast and we weren't going to talk about entrepreneurship too much, I'm sure there's a ton of failure and outcomes not being what you wanted in the moment on your way to being where you're at now in this position in the NFL. I bet there's way more loss and failure than there were wins.
On both sides of the ledger, both in officiating and also in business. I had what I would consider a failed startup, my second one. It's funny, I had two choices at the time. I was ideating on two business ideas. The first was going to be managing foreclosed properties for banks. This was 2006. And because of the business that I was in, I knew how to bundle and aggregate services together and coalesce them into a platform that would have made it easy for the banks. If I would have gotten that off the ground, you're thinking the recession in 8 and 9, I wouldn't be saving puppies today. But what I chose was door number 2, which was standing in an airport, tired, thinking to myself, there's got to be a place in an airport to take a nap. And I went into what's called the sleep business. And my first idea was to build nap pods in airports. It's been done. I know the guy that did it. I helped him get his idea off the ground. We pivoted out of that because I didn't want to have retail real estate and employees operating in airports. And so I launched, with Suzanne Summers, I actually launched a preloaded app technology that helps you take a nap. Missed the product market fit, didn't see the app store coming, should have been the first nap app on the app store, missed that. So $600,000 later, I still take this, it's called Nap 26. And every time I take it, it's the most expensive nap I'll ever be able to take in my life.